Angela Merkel is hell-bent on an increased Europeanization of Germany, regardless of the material cost to her own country, a former MEP has said. And Hans-Olaf Henkel has said her attitude is typified by Germany's response to the coronavirus pandemic, prioritizing equality over speed by committing to an EU-wide approach which he further claimed has cost lives. Mr. Henkel, who stood down from the European Parliament in 2019, was speaking before the passing today of emergency legislation enabling Mrs. Merkel to go over the heads of regional leaders by imposing mandatory lockdowns. The number of confirmed coronavirus cases in Germany increased today by 10,810 to 3,022,323, data from the Robert Koch Institute (RKI) for infectious diseases showed. The reported death toll rose by 294 to 78,746, the tally showed. Mr. Henkel said Mrs. Merkel's attempt to impose her will on the states was controversial, because Germany's constitution, or Grundgesetz, is specifically intended to avoid too much centralization of power. It gives the regions, or Länder, significant powers, at the insistence of the Allied powers who oversaw the development of the Grundgesetz in 1948, who wanted to make sure there could be no repetition of the centralization which led to the rise of the Nazis, and that there would instead always be a system of checks and balance in the German political system. He told Express.co.uk, over the decades this principle had been under increasing attack. Especially Chancellor Merkel, but not only her, had abdicated more and more national responsibilities from Berlin to Brussels. The Deutsche Mark had been swapped for one-size-fits-all euro which had turned out to fit nobody. Mrs. Merkel had agreed to the EU borrowing money on behalf of the 19 countries in the Eurozone in accordance with its £677 billion coronavirus recovery plan, and most recently, she had abdicated the purchase of sufficient quantities of vaccines to Brussels as well. This does not mean that the German politicians would now take the lessons learned and abstain from centralizing decision-making. By demanding to centralize the response to COVID-19 by imposing lockdown, Mrs. Merkel and other German politicians wanted to deflect from their failure to secure sufficient quantities of vaccines in the first place, Mr. Henkel claimed. He said, "I can see already the next step. Let's have a Europe-wide response." Such a strategy ignored the fact the health crisis varied enormously from town to town, city to city and country to country, Mr. Henkel stressed. With specific relation to Germany, he explained, "No one disputes the need for lockdowns, but we don't need one which covers the entire country when the rate of infections is vastly different within the country." The current discussion was complicated by two additional factors, Mr. Henkel pointed out. He said, 1. In the fall we have federal elections and the arguments about how to deal with COVID-19 are not anymore along the lines of rationale but along party lines. 2. The Prime Ministers of Bavaria, CSU, and of North Rhine-Westphalia, CDU, battle for Merkel's succession as Chancellor. Since more centralization is popular, I am afraid that there could be an agreement that the COVID-19 response should be more from Berlin and less from the Länder. If it wouldn't be for the cock-up of ordering insufficient quantities of vaccines in Brussels and the extremely slow release of new vaccines by the European Medical Agency, EMA, in the Netherlands, we would already have even seen demands that we should have a Europe-wide response. The underlying problem remains. Berlin and Brussels bureaucrats alike seem to believe that when it gets to the economy, competitiveness is less important than social justice, and when it gets to fighting COVID-19, speed is less important than equality, even if it costs lives. If you liked this video, please hit the like button to give this channel a boost, and if you would like to see more videos from this channel, please hit the subscribe button and ring the little bell to get notifications of our future videos. Have a wonderful day.